Okay, I'm doing a video this time about my second wife. I've been enjoying programs on Sky TV about mostly women. Very few men are on there about the hell they had when they were married, because it's mostly women. But there are men like myself who was been through hell with being married, not just to one woman but two. And I done the first one, who the hell did I marry? About my first wife. And now I'm doing about my second wife, because looking back now, I find it hard to believe that I married a second woman and she was worse than my first wife. But I mean worse in she was violent. My first wife wasn't violent. My first wife simply constantly lied, cheated, and stole and did everything bad towards me. And for 11 years I was married to her, and when I did split up with her, it was then I found out what she was like. Because all my friends and family started telling me stories about her then, and they never told me when I was married to her. And I couldn't see through it, because love is blind. But after splitting up with my first wife in 1983, I lived with my sister-in-law for a while and my brother. And they wouldn't let me bring my three children back there, and I wanted my own place so I could have my three children. I finally had a three-bedroom house, council house at that, and I was able to bring my three children back, but I'd nothing to furnish it with. I'd lost everything through my first wife, even though I worked 11 years underground as a miner, and I couldn't believe I was in that situation that the first wife had put me in. Now, it's hard to believe that it took me 5 years then to build myself up and get furniture for that house, and to finally start having my children, my three children then were young, to get them to stay with me on a weekend. And that was my main enjoyment. I know a lot of people knowing me at the time, I was dating a lot of women, and if you look at the rest of my videos, you'll see women have always been my downfall. I've been a bugger for women. But my main enjoyment was having my children back on the weekend. And then I came across my second wife. Now, she was a blonde, attractive like the first wife, didn't say much like the first wife, very shy, and I got attached to her straight away. The funny thing about it that I'm going back now, I think it was 1988. I was in the nightclub, and it was her friend who asked me to share a taxi with him. And I tried to dance with my second wife earlier on, but she wouldn't dance to me. She seemed very shy and laid back, and I was a bug of a shy woman, you see. I didn't like women who talk too much, because I do a lot of talking, and I love the women who listen to me, like. And when a friend asked me to share a taxi, a friend asked me to come back and stay in her house. Now, a friend was also attractive, and I thought at the time that it was a friend that I was going to go out with. But when we got back to a friend's house in Trimsaran, a friend turned around and said, I leave you two here now, I'm going to bed. And I looked at my second wife and I said, oh, it's you I'm with then. And she said, yeah, I was the one who wanted you to come back. But she never said nothing. She was so quiet and laid back. Oh, right, I said. So me and the second wife stayed there on the settee. Now, I didn't know at the time, but she was married, and her husband was looking after the children for her only a few houses away. And I didn't know this. All I knew, I had a nice looking blonde here with me, and we slept together on the settee. And that was it. I went to work the following Monday, and I was telling my friends from Tumsaran that I stayed with her in Tumsaran, and they said, no way, because they could see that she was very attractive. And one of my friends, and Ken Ford, I'll never forget it, he was working me at the time, and he said, Clive, she will look at you, Clive. She's too nice for you. She will look at you. Well, she did, Ken. I said she did. I stayed with her. They wouldn't have it. They wouldn't believe that I stayed with her because they could see how attractive she was. And she seemed to be well known and liked in Tripsara. Um, and they said to me, she's married anyway. And I said, no, she's not married. Anyway, that night I phoned her house and she had given me the phone number and her husband answered. And he said, who's this? And I said, it's me. I said, it's Sharon. What do you want with Sharon? I'm her husband. So I put the phone down. So I left it at that. I thought, that's it. I don't want to see her again. I didn't know she was married. I was never one for married women. Anyway, about 2 months went and she came down to see me in Pontiats. She found out where I lived and she came to see me and she said she was expecting my fourth child. I was gobsmacked. And even though I liked her, I said to her, hang on, you're married. And she said, no, I'm not. He's been having an affair, she said, and he's gone now to the woman he's been having an affair with, and I'm on my own. Because in the meantime now she had kicked him out and she had the house to herself, and she told me that he was having an affair anyway, and I thought, oh, well, that's his fault then if he was, but she was telling me a load of bull. Anyway, I started going out to her again, and we got into a relationship. And before I knew it, I got attached to her, and my children were coming down to stay with me, and she was bringing her two daughters from her first marriage, and we seemed to be one happy family, all staying in my house in Pontiats, and sometimes we go down to her house in Trimsara, and she was always telling my children, my three children, come down to Trimsara, and they'd even come down to see me, and if she wasn't there, they wanted to go to Trimsara, because she had everything for them, she spoilt them, and she spoilt me as well. And she seemed everything I wanted. She didn't seem at all like the monster that I married. And she not only won me over, but she won my children over. And then when I was made redundant, Canidra was closing, I had over 20,000 redundancy. And my first wife was to reclaim my redundancy money. And I said to the second wife, no way, I'm not going to let her have this. And she said to me, well, marry me. She said, you can buy my house in Tripsara. And it's a council house. I can buy it for 13,000. She said, 13,000 then. You're going back now, we're going back now to 1989. And by now, my fourth child had been born as well, Matthew. Anyway, so it seemed a good idea, but I said, well, hang on, what if you then chuck me out like my first wife? And she said, oh, you don't trust me then. If you don't trust me, you don't love me, she said. Don't think I'm like your first wife. I wouldn't do that to you, she said. And this went on for a few weeks. We had a debate about it because I was weary, of giving up my house now and putting all my eggs in one basket again and living and getting married and living in Trimsara. But in the meantime, my first wife, who had gone off for the company boss, who had done well for herself, and left me with nothing, now was trying to claim my redundancy money. And I thought, no way is she having it. So I thought, right, I'll marry my second wife then. And we got married on April the 1st, would you believe it? And all my family saying, you're a fool, Clive. And I thought, right, I hope I'm not. I was a bit worried, but I went ahead with it. We got married. And in no time, I spent my redundancy money buying our council house and doing it all out. And we seemed to be happy for the first few weeks. We lived it up. I was taking my kids and her kids everywhere. And then after about 2 months of marriage, she said to me she wanted to make a will so that her children, her two daughters from the first marriage, would have the house, as well as my fourth child with her, my boy, and that my kids would have nothing. And I said, that's not fair to my kids, I said. And she said, but your first wife has got everything, she said. But my first wife had also had two children since. And she could have done a will for them to have everything. So my kids would have had nothing. So I said, it's not fair that I bought your house, done it out, I said. Spent over 20,000 and now you want me to sign it all the way to you and the children. Well, either you do that, she said, or you're out. I was gobsmacked when she said that. And the first thing she did was stop me having the children there. I couldn't believe this. The one thing I enjoyed, having my children, Took me ages to finally get a place to get my children. And now she was stopping me having the children. Right? And then she started getting violent. Out of the blue, she started getting berserk. Of course, she was drinking cider and I was drinking cider. And I told a lot of my friends, oh, she like me, she likes the cider. But at the time, she was drinking more than me. And of course, she was well liked and respected in Trimsaran. And I was outside, you see. Uh, and we'd always been rivalry, Trimsaran in rugby, Poniats and Trimsaran. So I was having a lot of stick there about that. And but still, I got along with a lot of men in Trimsaran. How many men I knew, like, and I seemed to be happy there. But all of a sudden now, my second wife started really getting violent and stopping me having my kids down. Uh, Started hitting me, chucking things at me. I couldn't believe all this. I couldn't believe it. I was in a state of shock. I was thinking, what the hell is going on here? This mild, sensitive, pretty, shy woman is now going berserk on me. And what she did then was worse. She started, she'd get up in the morning, she'd have her children stay with her grandmother, and she'd get up in the morning and she'd go to her friend's a few doors away to have her breakfast. She'd take the toilet paper, she'd take the tea bags, she took the TV and everything out of there. So I'd get up in the morning and there was no TV there to watch, there was no tea bags to have tea, and there was no toilet paper to go to the toilet. And my family and friends, you see, all thought the world of her. She'd not only won my kids over, won me, but she won my family and friends. And she was phoning my sister and even my mother, telling my mother I was hitting her. I'd go out all day without her to keep out of the way. And I'd go down the bird in Tripsara and I'd go over Poniats and I'd be drinking all day, but making sure I wouldn't get drunk because when I got home, she was really laying it into me, chucking things. And if I even answered her back, she'd phone the police. And this is a nightmare. I was going to bed at night and the police was coming knocking at my door. Excuse me, Miss Stewart, and they were coming into my bedroom. Two policemen in my bedroom saying, you've been hitting your wife and she's complaining, you're violent. And I haven't touched her, there isn't a mark on her. And one day, changing the napkins of my fourth child, she threw a dirty napkin at me and I ducked and it splattered all over the world. There was shit all over the wall. There was shit all over the wall. If that had caught me, I would have killed her. And I could see she was really getting wild in the end. And I even grabbed hold of her by the neck in the end. I said, I'm going to kill you if you don't stop hitting me. And I told my solicitor, I've had enough, I'm going out. And my solicitor said, no, don't be silly, you stay there, he said. It's your house, you bought it. Oh, no, I said, I can't stand the violence, I said. I'm going to do something to her. And that's what she wants, I said. She wants me to hit her. She wants me to do something so she can kick me out. I'm going out, I told him. And because she was getting so bad, right, that she was making me go wild. And I didn't want to hurt her, but I was getting in a situation where I would if I'd stayed there. So I finally got me a place in Llanelli, and I went out. And within 2 weeks of me moving out, she came down to see me crying, saying she missed me. I thought this was crazy. I told her where to go. I said, I don't want to see you again. And she said, I'd like to see you as a friend, But at the same time, she didn't want me back there and she wanted to claim everything from the house. And because I had now gone out and she claimed everything, and I couldn't believe it, that for the second time I was made homeless, and for the second time I landed up losing everything. But I finally had a house back in Poniats, and I was able to get my children down and to stay with me in 1990. My second marriage, by the way, only lasted 6 months, right? And she won me over by phoning. I was working in Canada at the time, and she was phoning up and she was asking me to come back to stay there, and she had wine on the table and food for me. All that stopped, of course, when I married. I can't believe the way I was pulled in by her and the way I was taken in by her and my kids and my family. And my brother and sister-in-law still think the world of her. They can't believe she was so violent. everybody into himself. I was walking up Garden Suburbs one day, and two of the men there were saying to me, "Hey, what's this you're hitting her?" And I say, "She's hitting me." They wouldn't have it. They wouldn't have it. No, no, we know her. She's not that type. They, people didn't believe she was so violent. She was a monster of a woman. She made my life hell, and I've been on my own ever since. For 23 years now, I've been on my own, and it's 19. What am I on about? It's 2014 now, and as you can see by the rest of my videos, I've gone out to the hell of a lot of women since, and I've never had them live with me or live with a woman again. I just don't trust them. Okay?